All right. And as we return, that's one of our sky cams there, taking a look at Molynes Road as we see the traffic is in fact building up this morning. So make sure you're out and about and getting ready to go to work early. So welcome back to CBM at Sunrise. To mark International Literacy Day, which will be celebrated this year on Saturday, September 8th, 2018, the British Council, with the help of the Royal National Institute of Blind People, that's the RNIB in Scotland, and Flag Up Scotland, Jamaica, will be donating 118 boxes of books in Braille and large print to our Salvation Army School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. So we'd like to welcome Mr. Kiwain Jacobs. He's the media officer from the British Council to share more on this initiative.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Before I get into the internationally celebrated day, I want to ask, from your visits to this school, the Salvation Army School for the Visually Impaired and Blind, what are some of the lived realities of the students there?
Well, you know, it's surprising because there's a stigma when you have a disability in Jamaica, but those are some of the happiest students, and I think perhaps it's because they're in an environment with peers and that they're in an environment where they are given certain amenities that don't necessarily remind them that they have a disability. So it's more of a situation where they feel abled in the environment they're in, and so I was really surprised at just how jovial and welcoming and warm they were. Sometimes if you have to think about having a disability or a stigma, you're so caught up in it that you might sometimes come across as being dejected and cold, and that was not the case at all with them.
All right. I know you're a new media officer, but last year you would have done a particular donation, and this year you're almost upping the ante.
Yes.
Why are you deciding to do this?
Well, you know, initially it was planned for a one-off donation, but a sort of relationship developed with RNIB, and they're actually celebrating their 150th anniversary this year. Okay. And so they decided that they wanted the Salvation Army School for the Blind and Visually Impaired to be a part of the activities that they're doing in the UK. So they're trying to twin as much activities as possible. And a part of that was making a second, larger donation to the school of Braille books and books in large print.
Okay. Is there any particular story that inspires you to continue doing what you're doing? Any personal story you've heard?
Well, the thing is, when we did the first donation and we had one of the students read a Braille book, a Harry Potter book, she was so ecstatic. But when she started to read the book, I was awestruck. Just the rhythm and the fluency with which she read. And I'm saying if you can give them the opportunity to, through literature, explore the world and read some of the books that we ourselves have read. I mean, Harry Potter has to probably be the biggest selling series ever. Right. And so to give these students the opportunity to experience that and just to see how welcoming they were, and even the teachers and other staff members at the school, that alone made my entire year.
Awesome. All right, so International Literacy Day is really to celebrate challenges and improvements that countries have been making to make the world more literate. Now, when you make this donation, how do you measure its success?
Well, we do keep in touch with the school and we get feedback. Now, one of the school celebrated their 90th anniversary last year, and a part of that was to retrofit their library. And so through this initiative, we're trying to see how we can help them to stock the library as much as possible. This larger consignment not only has books for students, but for young adults and adults as well, because as you know, there are adults and young adults who also live on the premises up by the Salvation Army School. So we have a larger variety of books. And this is part of our work in equality, diversity and inclusion, which is at the heart of our cultural relations at the British Council. And so we will, as much as we can, help them to see through the retrofitting of their library.
Well, I know there was an article that came out in the paper last year, so it's also about a new building and really refurbishing. Yeah. Are you helping with those renovation efforts as well, as opposed to just donating books?
Well, at the moment, we are just donating books, but we are in talks with RNIB to see how we can possibly come together and do more. And a part of that is also ensuring that we showcase the work we're doing in the UK, because the diaspora is a big part of the work.
To galvanize some support.
Galvanize some support, definitely.
Okay. Our counterparts in the Caribbean have higher literacy rates. Well, some counterparts have higher literacy rates. For example, our neighbor Cuba. What are some of the things you think we can do in Jamaica to improve our literacy rates in general?
I think as a nation, we need to take education more seriously. And that has to be a holistic approach. So not just the policymakers, but the parents as well, and encouraging students. If one group is taking it more serious than the other, then there's a disconnect. And so I think that's where the fall down is in our system. And I think we do have a relatively high literacy rate, but
yes.
Of course, there's always room for improvement.
Okay, the Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning, their mandate, that's a government agency, but their mandate is really to increase literacy for adults. Is there any room for collaboration with the British Council in the future?
Well, we're always, a part of our main drive of the British Council is to bridge the school-to-work transition gap. And so we do a lot of work with students and young adults. But of course, every Jamaican can contribute to the progress of the country. And so if we see where something fits into our area of work or one of our portfolios, then of course we'll be more than happy
what are
to
the
look into a
pillars
partnership.
For the British Council?
So we work in education, the arts and society. In terms of our education portfolio right now, our major focus is on core skills. And these were 6 skills that the British Council developed to help students function effectively in a 21st century world. So, we've seen where employers often say they get fantastic students, but they lack the soft skills.
Right.
So the critical thinking, the creativity and problem solving, collaboration, communication, digital literacy, leadership. And so we train teachers in these areas, and then they cascade it in their daily curriculums in the class.
Okay, and tell me about some of the other pillars.
In terms of society, we're doing a social enterprise in secondary schools project, the largest of its kind in the Americas for the British Council. And we're aiming to reach about 18,000 students over 3 years. And so what it is that we train teachers in social entrepreneurship.
Nice.
And then they cascade that to the students. And a part of it is that the students will set up a social enterprise in the school, and the profits will go to helping to resolve a social problem, whether it be inside the school or in the community.
When does that project end? When does the 3-year mark?
In 2021.
Okay.
So it's a partnership with the Victoria Mutual Foundation, with the support of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information.
And then the final pillar, which is the arts. Tell me what kind of work you've been doing there.
The move in the arts portfolio is moving to Arts for Social Change. What we want to do is ensure that we are reaching Jamaicans at the grassroots level, like the people who need our help the most.
Right.
We've also done a lot of upskilling in terms of working with arts professionals in helping them to reach a larger network and larger market for their work.
So you're doing a lot of capacity building,
yes,
as opposed to, say, just making donations or
yes.
giving money. You're doing the
so
capacity
this was
training.
actually, this initiative with the Salvation Army School is just one of the international days that we celebrate. And so we like to reach as many different communities as possible. And as again, it's a part of our equality, diversity and inclusion work.
I know you've only been there for 18 months, but can you tell me how many beneficiaries have benefited from any of the programs that you've been a part of while there so far?
Well, we've trained closer to 1,500 teachers in introduction to core skills. We've also done 2 or 3 cohorts of advanced training. And so we had to take a break because school was on break. And so now that school is reopening, we're going to continue with the advanced training. And then in terms of our social enterprise in secondary schools program, we've started with 6 pilot schools.
Right.
And we've now put out an open call for 12 schools. And we're looking to do 24 schools in the third year. So each year we wanted to double the amount of schools and in terms of the numbers that we work with.
Fantastic
And
work.
so-
If I know a school that didn't see the ad, where can they call or get information
Please send
from?
it to them. The ad would have been in both the Gleaner and the Observer yesterday. And if you Google social enterprise in secondary schools, it will take you to our website. All the information is there. The open call is there.
What is the website?
It's British Council Caribbean on Facebook and online.
Okay, and a number that they can call as well?
906 8623.
876-906?
8623.
8623. All right, well, we hope to see a lot more happening in terms of your collaboration in the different sectors in Jamaica, and we want to congratulate and commend your team for all the work that they've been doing thus far.
Thank you.
All right, so we're up on a break, but more CBM at Sunrise when we return.